Hi, I'm Shane. Welcome to my shop. Welcome to the channel. Today's video, we're going to be adapting this wohlhaupter UPA5 boring and facing head to the Lucas number 41 horizontal boring mill. In doing so, taking into consideration your concentricity, perpendicularity, and parallelism, which are all very important. And I'll brief on why and how to do that. And if that sounds interesting to you, stay tuned. I hope you enjoy the video. Alright, so here you see the UPA5 boring head, facing head, and an 1.5-inch end mill holder that was furnished with the mill. This adapter was furnished with that head, and there was points brought up that you can cut this off, thread it, and put just your standard boring head adapter on, which isn't a bad idea. My intent is to keep it the way it is because it's pretty easily adaptable to my Kearney and Trecker mill. So I'm going to go ahead and take a stab at making an accurate socket adapter to utilize on this mill. I've measured this out. This is 5/10,000ths under 2 inches. Within a thou across the entire surface. The whole bottom half is 5/10ths short of your 2 inches. So the plan is to take that adapter, and I'm initially just gonna chamfer this edge and clean it up a little bit so I can flip it around, put it on centers, and check everything, and probably face the OD of the actual tool holder part. But I want to make sure that this is concentric with the taper, which is that's a imperative with a boring head. You can get away with this diagram here. A boring head, it doesn't matter too much because it's a single point cutter. It's kind of fixed in space in relative to the piece that you're machining, so it's going to stick out the same anyway. You're going to make a nice round cut. Where it does become an issue, if you're canted a little bit, you will introduce coaxial air, and the measurement that you think that you're dialing in on your boring head will be a little bit longer than the actual amount that it sticks out. I have an exaggerated picture here. You can see that your projection from your tool as it's sliding, if you dial it in 200 thou, you're going to be short of that because you dialed it in on an angle, which is it's crucial if you're doing precision work. You could be a thou or two out and just scrap apart. It's a little more noticeable while facing. Like I said, if this tool's projecting out this way, it's going to exaggerate it the further out it goes, and you're going to end up, if you're facing a flange after boring, making a tapered flange. Depending on which way your tool's projecting, it could, you could taper in like this or taper out. So that's why it's important to me to make that as extremely close as possible. There's a little bit of concern about chatter when adapting tools like this. This machine spins at such a slow RPM that I don't think we're going to have an issue with it. If we do, I'll try something else. So yeah, that's the plan of attack, and that's the why. You can kind of see, flip this over, I've already cleaned up the tang on the belt grinder. I've stoned some of the rough out of the taper, but I do want to get this in between centers to make sure everything's going to work. And while it's between centers, I'll face this, so I'm 100% sure that that's concentric with the taper. This is the piece that came with the mill to drive the boring bars, and it's extremely loose, so they're all going to get recut. This taper is about scrapped. It's for a number 9 taper pin, and you can see I reamed it out, but there's still, I'm on focus, there's still some rough areas. I don't know if you can see it in there or not. And the pin falls about halfway through that hole right now, so that's not really good at doing what it's doing. So I figure I'll turn, face, bore. I may machine a flat and then 2 set screws, to hold this. But this will still leave me with about a 1/2 inch of material outside of this shank. So I feel comfortable with it, and I think as long as I have it as straight as I can get it, I think we can get it actually really close. So I'll get set up on the lathe, and we'll check everything out and probably face it, and then we'll get set up for actually boring, and then we'll try it on the mill, which will be pretty cool. All right, hang tight. All right, so first thing we want to do is just get this in here, get it chucked up. I'm going to tighten our highs, loosen our lows, just a smidge, tighten our high, tighten our high, loosen our low. Just a hair. Really close. When I do the, I'm going to chuck a center up in this chuck, and I get that a lot closer with a 10th indicator, but we're, just about right on right now. And all we're doing now, we're going to face this, and I actually changed my mind. I think I'm going to cut a radius in there, so it'll make a better bearing surface with the ability to pivot a little bit. For setting up between centers. So I'll get to facing this, truing it up, and then bring it back. All right, hang tight. So I did forget to mention a step. I do want to recut your center in the back of this tang, and which means flipping the part around again and kind of beating this around with a little lead knocker for 10 minutes to try and get this zeroed out. And got it running pretty close. Then a thou. Centering that up really paid off. So true this one back up, and that's all we're doing here. We're trying to cut a whole lot of new do need it to be round. You need it to be concentric. Alright, so set up 2 hardened ground centers. Dialed it in with a Starrett 7 to 11F last word indicator in 10,000th graduation. So that's that, y'all. Can't really get any closer than that. Most of that's just deviations on the actual center. So I get the piece in, dial that in the same way, and then find a dog that fits. And just slow turn the OD of the tool holder part over here, right there. Alright, get it set up, I'll bring it back. Alright, so kind of as suspected may have been the case, which is why we went through all this rigorous setup. This center hole is not concentric with this tapered shank. It's close. I mean, kinda. That's between centers. That's what the centers, as you just saw, I mean, within 1/10. Here we are. I mean, you're 3 1/4 thou out, side to side. Yeah, 2 1/2 on that one. 2 1/2 thou out. And over here, about 3. That's thousandths, not tenths. 4, so that's 5/10 outside to side this way. And then what, 3? Say 3 out this way. So I guess from here, because I want my whole tool holder to be concentric with the tapered shaft, I'm going to have to adjust this center in these jaws. I have this dog set up, get a fair amount of real estate on this jaw, and I'm just going to turn it nice and easy. Got high pressure lubricant on my center. This one is not necessary because it's driven. So I guess that's what I'll do. I'll bring it back. I'll get it close with the thousandths indicator, and then I'll put the last word back on so I can get the best job, possible. So let's go ahead and do all that off camera. Bring it back. All right, there you go. Let's say we're within 1/10 all the way around. It's a little gooner mark. Can't get it to focus. Say within 1/10 is probably close. It didn't take a whole lot of adjusting to get it perfect. Yeah, that center hole was definitely a hair off. We're going for perfect if we can get it. So see what happens. Alright, now, point of all that was to make this edge concentric with this taper. So now I can spin it around, and I'll probably face this, I'll turn this, face the front again, and bore it, and then I'll chamfer all my corners, and then probably get it on the mill and punch some holes in it, and it'll be good. We're going for Initially 2 inches. That'll be a half thou oversized from the adapter that I have, and that should be a nice tight fit. So that's what we're going to shoot for. See how that fits, and I may adjust it from there, but I'm initially just going to see how it fits. All right, I'm going to get the part flipped around, and then I'll bring you back and do some boring. All right, she's flipped around. I got her within like 2/10, hair less than 2/10, but I'd say that's close enough. I'd say that should be a pretty accurate piece for what it's doing. That's the point of it. So I'll turn it down a little bit, try and match the back side, and then come in and bore it out. Alright, so started boring, figuring out feeds and speeds. I'm going to go ahead and get you some footage, boring it out. I'm going to be using Brown & Sharp Intramite, 1.6 to 2 inch. So I'm just going to sneak up on my 2-inch ID, and I'll probably sand it out a little bit, depending on how the surface finish comes out, and just bring it in real easy. Testing the adapter socket and everything. So here we go. That's a tapered hose. Indicator setup so I know where to stop, ease it in, utilizing the feed brushes. Sounded healthy. Yeah, that got a little chatter. I might slow her down. Take a little less. See what we're going for. I'll just keep measuring and sneak up on my 2 inches. Maybe when I get a little closer, I'll bring you back. Stop recording right now. Alright, so just got it cooling down a little bit. Get my final measurement. Hot measurement, I got about 11.5 thou to go. So just want to let it cool down so I have a nice accurate reading, and then figure out what I need to take off. And like I said, I'll probably sand the last couple thou in. So It needs 11. I may advance 4, take 8 off, see where that gets me. Maybe do a couple spring passes. It just about opened up a size. Surface finish is looking good. It's fairly smooth. Okay, so I'm gonna let it run for a while here. Just let it cool down. Maybe get a fan on it, and I'll bring it back. All right, so went ahead and made that 4,000th depth of cut, 8,000th, total diameter pass that I had just mentioned. Came out 8/10 short of being freaking perfect. By that, I don't trust that tri-mic that much because I don't have the calibration rings for them. But man, look at this. I mean, I could see maybe sanding it. I mean, there's no wiggle at all. That is perfect. I can't even touch it. Can't even sand it. So, I guess from here, I'll do my drill and tap for the set screws, and we're gonna try her out. See how she works. All right, hang tight. All right, I couldn't help myself. Looks like it'll work. I mean, it kind of looks like it sticks out a little too much. You've got about this much shank. You got about that much shank in the tool holder. There is virtually no play in this. I must have made a mistake or something, because this thing it just fits perfect. I mean, there's nothing. No wiggle, nothing. So I think I'm gonna try it and see what it does. I may have to go back to the drawing board, but I honestly think it's gonna be fine. It's not a high speed machine. These heads aren't designed to run at high speed, so. And you figure this is a 2-inch piece of metal. This is a 3-inch piece of metal, 1/2 inch thick. I mean, you got rigidity built into it. So I'm gonna try it and see what happens. I think I'm gonna go ahead and drill and tap the holes off camera, get this video edited. Probably do a little close out the video. A couple things I wanted to mention, a couple things I wanted to talk about, and that's probably what I'm going to do, because I got a couple things to do yet today. But I don't know. I think it'll work. Doesn't look too bad either. All right, hang tight. All right, so I just wanted to close out by talking a little bit about the machining of that tool holder. And a few other things then. Probably wondering why I took it off of centers. If I was machining the tapered shank too, I would have left it on centers. The reason I adjusted it was I was establishing the parallelism with the center line of the existing taper. And I was sure to check at a couple different spots on the taper. So that should have established that parallelism. It should have established the concentricity, and those two things should have built in the ability to make a perfectly perpendicular end and a perfectly perpendicular bore, which is what I was after. And I'd say we should be, by the numbers, within 2/10, which should be more than adequate for whatever it is I'm doing. In the future, I may make a new one, make and grind the taper, maybe actually make a 40 taper socket for it, like I had mentioned before. But I had to make that piece anyways. I had to modify that for the boring bars, and I have to modify the boring bars yet, but I figured I have nothing to lose, everything to gain, so I went ahead and tried it. I'm gonna, once I get the holes and set screws drilled and tapped and everything set up, you know, to run, I intend to check everything, probably with a test indicator, and see how we actually did. You know, I'll definitely let you guys know. The taper on that tool holder was a little bit rough, and I did stone that, and I did check it in the spindle with some high spot, and it's pretty good. Could always be a little better. That's the tool holder that was in the machine, and when I purchased it, they were running for years, and like I said, it's not terrible, but it could be better. So I probably will down the road make something else, but to get us up and running, I think it's a viable piece. I think it's going to work. In addition to that, I wanted to give a little shout out to DJ at Foxburg Fabric Cobbling. He has a channel, 2 channels. He's a heck of a guy. He's kind of been my liaison to the YouTube community, because, you know, I'm new here, and I appreciate that. But he has a cool channel. He has some cool machines. He's a down-to-earth dude, cool to talk to. So look him up for sure. In addition to that, yeah, he I think he pulled some strings, helped me get on a live stream, which I completely fumbled because I'm not exactly a social butterfly here. I try, but I guess in the face of you know, dealing with new people on a new scenario with live stream, it was just a little bit stressful, and I might have done just, you know, trying to break down walls and for myself and put myself out, and yeah, you know, vocalize more. I'm getting there. I'll get there. Hopefully I'm able to do that again, and maybe interject a little more than I did the last time. Lastly, I want to thank a lot of you guys. You guys stepped up, you subscribed. I really appreciate that. I appreciate your comments. A lot of you guys are new to my channel. Actually, most everybody's new to my channel because it's only 6 months old. So I think I may, if you guys are interested in it, let me know. Make a video just explaining who I am, what I do, you know, the premise of my channel, what you can look forward to seeing. Yeah, other than that, I appreciate you stopping by. I appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, and have a good day.